Hello, hello. My name is Heather Coster. I am a spiritual channel, teacher, and guide. And thank you for joining me today. Today, I'd like to talk about hearing God's whispers and how to channel and discern what we hear. Because God is always in our heart, and sometimes it feels like it's our thoughts instead of God's messages because they're very subtle. God's messages are very subtle. They're part of our intuition, it's part of our knowing. It's not a direct hit like if we were to hear more from our angels or our Akashic records. God's messages are within us already, it's part of our soul's voice. And so there's a few tips and ways that I would like to help you hear God's messages for you, because we all have access to this information. It's just having the inner discernment and the inner knowing of how to listen and to trust. And I use these tools all the time, every day, several times a day. It just really helps me to get out of my own head and to hear what God really wants for me, what is best for me. And so I'd love for you to join me in doing this too. And the first and probably the most challenging thing that we can do to hear God's whispers, God's messages for us, the very first thing and most important, I believe, thing to do is to get out of our head. Our minds love to make sense of things. Our minds want to understand. We want to find logic and make rules and order. And God doesn't always work like that. God gives us bigger, broader messages that don't always fit in a box. And it might not always look how we want it to look to make sense of it. So it's first of all starting with an open mind and being aware that God's messages are big. It's infinite information that we are trying to funnel in to understand. Okay? So, to assist with our mind in relaxing, I find the best tool is to set a timer. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however much time you want to allow, is to set a timer. Setting a timer allows your mind to relax. It allows our ego to feel safe, knowing that we're not going to get lost, we're not going to lose track of time, so to speak. We're not going to give too much time to this scenario. We need to hold on, like the clock running in the background, nothing like that, right? So we can allow ourselves to truly relax our minds for that amount of time. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, set a timer on your phone, whatever, your watch, whatever is near you. Secondly, I always have a journal because sometimes the messages come through and I don't want to really think about it or hold on to it, but rather I put it down somewhere, put it on pen and paper. I just write it out, whether it makes sense or not, no judgment. Those are two ways I try to get my mind out of the way. So I let my ego relax with the timer. I have my pen and paper ready to just, as messages come through, I just write them down. The second thing to do is to drop your attention into your heart. Another kind of challenging thing to do until it's practiced. It just takes time. But if you could just be still after you set your timer, close your eyes, and imagine your thoughts, whether it be the schedule, a grocery list, whatever it is, just if all of everything in your head, your conscious thoughts can just melt down into your heart and just bring your awareness into your heart. Maybe it's a globe in your heart. Maybe you're sitting inside of a beautiful lotus flower. Maybe you're sitting inside of a beautiful crystal or sitting next to a beautiful tree in nature. Just create a scene if you are a visual person. And if you're not a visual person, then it might be easier. It might be different. But in some way, try to unlock from your thinking mind and just bring that intention, that energy into your heart. And imagine it igniting your soul if you want to, that fire, if you want to sit around a bonfire. But bring your head into your heart and try to relax there. Remind yourself you're only going to be here for 5 minutes or whatever you set your timer for. You're safe. It's okay. Other thoughts will come in. They'll try to hijack your time with God, and that's okay. That's part of it. Just let those thoughts come in and let them go. You'll be there in 5 minutes to revisit them, whatever they are. It's okay. If you felt like you wanted to write it down so you're not thinking about it, write that thought down on your paper so you can come back to it. The process takes practice, but once you're able to stay in your heart and hold that intention, that thought in your heart, bring that thought into your heart, that's where the beauty is. That's where the magic happens, because that is where your soul lies, and that's where God communicates to us, is through our soul's essence, our soul's energy. So from there, your thinking mind is in your heart. Anything that comes out from there can be a channel, can be God talking to you. It's going to feel like your own intuition. You can even ask if something comes up, is this mine or is this God's? And you'll get like, oh no, that's you. You put that there. Or, nope, that's for me. Like sometimes God will say, nope, that's for me. Write it down. And so at that point, it's having the discernment to trust, to know, and to be okay with that. That yes, God is in your heart. Yes, God spoke to you. You are worthy of it. You deserve it. Of course, God speaks to you. God created you. Why wouldn't you have messages coming through to you? It's okay not to understand it. It's okay not to make sense of it. It's okay that it's not a logical thing to do. It's okay. Trust it. You can ask God anything. You can ask God about your day. A lot of times I'll just open my morning prayer with, God, what do you have for me today? And sometimes it's laugh. Sometimes it's like I see a picture of what my day might look like. Sometimes I see a person come into mind, and then I reach out to that person, and there's a reason why that person came into my mind. You might just get different things that don't make sense, and that's okay. Just note it. And when you write it down, over time, you might notice a pattern, and that's how God will speak to you. That maybe that means you need to give more attention to that thing, or maybe that's a message for you about something else, or a clue. So once you discern, once you trust, you write down your messages. And then I like to end the practice, so to speak, by sitting in my heart and just thanking God for sending me the message. Thank you, God, for coming in. Thank you for spending time with me today, knowing that God is always present, but that special, intimate time that you were able to draw in and communicate and get messages is just so, so special. And so hearing God's whispers, it will just transform the way you see your life and the way you experience everything. And so give it a try, set a timer, move your thoughts into your heart, and then trust and discern your messages. You will unpack beautiful things, my friend. Enjoy.